Hello viewers, I'm SB and welcome back to Citizen Sleeper, where we have about 600 problems bearing down on us, and I think just plain not enough time to do the things that are necessary for completing the climbing briar thing here. So we have the water already secured for the briar's hold. We are like a single good die away from securing the food as well. We don't have enough scrap components, and it's going to be pretty hard for us to get. Like we could totally get 3 more scrap components within 3 days. That would or 4 more rather. That would honestly probably not be a big problem. The issue is that apparently we're on the hook for the entirety of the actual run as well. That's tricky. We have to find enough dice to fill up an awful lot of clocks here very, very quickly. Alright, here's what I'm thinking. We got a couple of 5s. Let's throw them at this slice thrusters action. Because this is an engineering action, we might pull some scrap components. Might make that a little bit easier. And then I think I'm comfortable using the 4 to try to where's the food thing? Yeah, let's throw the 4 at this. We can try to pull some more food for the flotilla. If we get a positive result here, I think we just complete the clock. Okay. Baller. Absolutely great. Yes, I just said baller unironically. I heard it too. You're leaning up against the metal crates you just loaded up with algae, packed and dried into bright green pucks. Ash hops onto one beside you, flexing her aching back. You think this is enough? Ash squints at you, as if you just interrupted her train of thought. It's a look you have become familiar with. Doesn't matter either way. This is what we've got. She sighs, rubbing the back of her neck. In these past cycles, working the algae stack with Ash, you've had little insight into her mind. She rarely seems happy to start a conversation, but is always eager to end one. Despite this, you feel like something has grown between you, something like silent trust, the kind that tends to seed itself in the fertile soil of hard but necessary work. Are you concerned? I don't really want to pry. I know that, like, the whole point of that interaction we had with the lady from Havenage was to get us to pry, but, like, again, I don't feel like the lady from Havenage made any kind of case at all. The story she was telling us feels like a lie to me, and even if it wasn't a lie, it feels like she does not understand how these kinds of councils work. I'm just not. I was going to ask if she's concerned. If she wants to volunteer something about her past, she can. Ash laughs. You could say that. She turns to face you. I think I'd be stupid to not be concerned about all this. She's right, of course, though it's hard to focus your concerns on one thing in particular. Can the refugees survive on the flotilla? What are Havenage doing to help them? If the quarantine is lifted, is the eye really in danger? Each worry is far too large to even begin to process, to judge, and they mesh with other more personal worries until you feel the anxiety growing in your chest. You look at Ash and are suddenly eager to speak, to talk about something, anything, rather than just sitting and feeling this growing weight. Why help the flotilla? It feels like a silly question. Like, I know I just said I don't feel the need to go prying in her past, but we're not really being given a choice here. And we know why help the flotilla, right? So, why escape XPR? Ash pauses, her protective instinct fighting with the trust you've built. You can see her begin to shrug the question off. Then she stops, rethinks, and sighs. What you need to understand, Sleeper, is that Erlen's Eye wasn't the only place where the Solheim collapse happened. Sure, Hawthorne, where we grew up, was an XPR installation, but that didn't screen it from Solheim going under. Actually, Solheim was the only reason XPR were ever here. She pauses, hesitant to get into the whole story, but wanting to offer something. She flinches, correcting herself. They are a service corp, you understand? They set up outposts and surrogate systems like this to offer refueling, logistics, and maintenance services to bigger companies with extraction contracts. She gestures to the eye around her, like Solheim. When Solheim went bust, XPR lost their client, and Hawthorne, well, we lost everything. We became an outpost tasked with just holding on. Keep the refueling platforms running, they said. Keep the outpost stable. Hold on to our claim. She rubs at her head, as if recalling all this was somehow physically painful. Do you know what it's like to spend your entire life in a place with no future? A place that exists only to hold a legal claim to a piece of territory, to shore up breach of contract negotiations between two corporations? It's like living in a... She searches for the word, her eyes jumping back and forth. In a grave. She clenches her hands. That's not really how graves work. So, if you're looking for the answer to why questions, that's your answer. We, Peak and I, know what it's like to be forgotten, to be locked out. She stares hard at the side of the stack, the algae whirling against the glass in beautiful patterns, and she doesn't look away. The silence extends, and you realize the conversation is over. Ash seems angry, not at you, but with herself for even voicing such ideas. After a while, you stand and start to load the crates onto the powered cargo trolley that Ash will run back to the Briar. As you do, you try to catch her eye, but she avoids it, soothing herself instead with the comforting simplicity of physical work. Alright, well, they said we only needed to get most of the stuff for the Briar, right? I shall take what you can get. The better prepared she is, the better the result will be. Well, I guess let's go work on Peak's plan now. So, here in the hangar, I feel like we can pull the thrusters off a bunch of ships. Pretty good at engineering. Please tell me 2 pluses? Of course not. This stuff is so dice hungry. Alright, show me at least some free scrap? Nope, not even. And then we have a 1, and I have no idea what to do with a 1. I guess, like, go make some money, right? It's probably the best use for it since we have a point of energy to sleep on. Let's cross back over and just, like, run some noodles or something. Yeah, we can make some distance on Feng's targets if we go this way, but I'd rather just take the safe thing. Okay, all we got was +1 energy. I think if you get at least a neutral outcome, it's either 2 energy or maybe actually like money. You mess up a batch and Mingi docks your pay and makes you eat the results. The noodles are unpleasantly gooey. That is a bummer. We're just not in a good place to be able to spend a 1 right now. I'm so annoyed about the condition problem. The fact that we only got 5 dice for a single cycle off of that stabilizer really sucks. Oh, what now? It's just non-stop interruptions. Sleeper, Peak is waiting for you when you leave, but they look different. Pale, drawn out. You need to come up to the Briar, now. They don't meet your eye. Why? What happened? Not here, Peak hisses. Come to the ship. We'll be waiting. Don't take long. And with that, they disappear around the corner, leaving you anxious and confused. This could have been a paragraph. I don't know why they need to break it up so much, like, to add all of this vertical space. Okay, well, this is, I'm sure, going to affect the leaving time. But I'm gonna drop a little cut in here. Sorry, I gotta take care of something. I'll be right back. All right, sorry about that. Let's see what is going on with Peak here. As you walk into the Climbing Briar's cavernous bay, now filled with crates and containers, Ash is waiting for you. In front of her, sliced open, with its insides scattered across the top of a heavy-duty crate, is an object you recognize. Helene's drone. You freeze. Come in, quick. Peak nudges you into the bay, looking behind you before sealing the entryway. We have to start being careful. You move closer to the container, your eyes on the drone splayed out in pieces, some parts of it hooked up to a slate that Peak picks up and begins tapping away at. Ash looks up from the dissection. We caught it buzzing around nearby, heading for the ship. She leans over and taps the HA sigil on one of the removed pieces of plating. It's a Havenage spy. We think we got it before it sent data back, but we can't be sure. Peak looks at you nervously. Ash cuts in. Have you noticed anyone watching you? Any drones like this? Anyone following you up to the Briar? Yeah, I've seen this drone in particular. I see no reason to lie to them about it. Ash frowns. Following you? Actually, I met its owner. Ash pauses for a while, Peak looking between the two of you. Explain, Sleeper, Ash says quietly. I'm going to tell them exactly what happened. You explain that you met with Helene at the Cordon, and you tell Ash and Peak about what she told you. That the Havenage Council are debating lifting the quarantine, but they're blocked by the hardliners. You speak faster and faster, but before you can finish, Ash walks away in anger, and then comes back again, her eyes burning. What is this, Sleeper? Have you understood nothing from what we've told you? She paces in front of you. Havenage are not your friends. They're administrators, which means they are interested only in their own power, their own survival, and their own causes. They divide people as easily as sorting livestock. The greater good of their work demands it, the wider project of the station, the colony, the nation. Her eyes are wide as she speaks, her anger barely contained. I'm a little lost here. This I didn't have a choice. What does it refer to? I didn't have a choice but to have the conversation? Because, like, that's literally true. I can't... Ash is not this mad about me having had a conversation, though, right? I'm concerned that this I didn't have a choice option is maybe, in the context of the writing, supposed to be me admitting to a thing that maybe didn't actually happen? Because I don't know what it... I don't, like... It seems like it would be insane for it to be I didn't have a choice but to have the conversation, because having the conversation didn't do anything, right? Like, there's nothing to apologize for. I'm not going to say she wants to help, because she doesn't. So I guess I'm going to say I didn't have a choice, but I don't know what this is referring to. If it's referring to anything other than just having the conversation, I'm a little annoyed. Peak cuts in. Listen to them, please, Ash. They're with us. Peak glances between you two. What was the Sleeper supposed to do? They were ambushed by this Helene. Okay, so it seems like it was just me, like, kind of apologizing for even having had the conversation, which is, like, very weird. And I only listened. Let me tell you something, Sleeper, Ash says, her rage hardening into pain. When people become administrators, they give up something. Some part of being human, being an equal among others, goes away. They start talking about the greater good, the systems, the ways in which their hands are tied or their process is compromised. You know, my mother was the administrator of Hawthorne, and I've seen what it did to her. That noble higher calling, it's toxic. People should never have the chance to decide the fate of others, and those that do so at a cost to their humanity. This is like a really weird straw man of a way people feel about bureaucrats. Also, it's like not even internally logically consistent, right? Because we're literally doing that. Peak tries to cut in, but Ash holds up a hand. Don't start, Peak. Don't ask me to be reasonable or calm down. Thousands of people are desperate out there. Being reasonable will only prolong their suffering. Yeah, no, I'm with you. We got to deliver the supplies to them. Absolutely. Ash doesn't move for a moment. Then she lifts a hand to rub her temples. She goes to say something, then stops. She walks back into the bay and starts checking the straps on the crates. I'll make the run, she yanks on a strap. No more distractions. Sleeper, Peak looks torn. You have to understand, this is personal for Ash. I know. Peak looks away, then at Ash. I don't know, Sleeper. I just don't know what to do. You glance around the Bay of Briar, the walls seeming closer every second. This whole thing is closing in on you, and the question is, where do you want to be when it all collapses? You look at Peak. And what do you think, Sleeper? Peak rubs their forehead. Should we do this thing or not? I'm still fully on the side of yes. We cannot let those people starve out there, right? Like, and I extremely do not buy Helene's line about if you help them, that will prove that we have to not help them. Like, the hardliners are going to hardline either way. And anybody who would see that someone ran the Cordon to bring supplies to the refugees, and from that go, oh, well then I too am a hardline against helping the refugees, was going to say that anyway. It doesn't make any kind of sense that this action would convince someone who is on the fence to suddenly be that particular kind of monster, you know? I think part of the problem that people like either people who are like Helene or people who are like the person Helene is pretending to be run into is that they just assume that everything people say is true. People will give you all kinds of excuses for their behavior, but you should be cannier than to just believe the reasons they say they do things. Peak nods. Okay then. They squeeze your shoulder. Onward. They slip away to help Ash, leaving you alone to replay the conversation in your head. A certain kind of grim determination settling in the room. Last chance to prepare. And we're still not actually in a great spot. I suppose there is an argument to be made about having backed off because we're not going to be ready. Alright, so here's the question. Do we play the 4s? I think I'm going to use this one to sunbathe. We're not like at the edge of a drive, are we? Like, is there a thing that I could? Because if I could gain one more upgrade point. Oh well, never mind. I can't push to +2 engineering. It was +2 engage that we're close to. I was gonna say using the 3s there becomes a lot more reasonable. We're not close to this. Gather food, scrap, and water. I mean, yeah, if I could get the scrap. What was the action here that lets us search? Nope, this isn't the right one. Also, close this. It's a dangerous endure. Is the scrap freighter still here? No, the scrap freighter's left. I wouldn't love, using dice to make money to buy scrap anyway. Like, the price was not very good in terms of the conversion rate. Yeah, I think we just kind of have to take on some risk here if we want to have any chance of getting this done in time. Because we're only going to have one more day after this, and we're only going to get 4 dice on that day. So I do think we have to throw some... Yeah, alright. We have to throw some risky dice here. Okay, that was the most positive version of the positive outcome. We haven't seen a neutral on this yet. Okay, cool. We got a negative, though. Minus a condition. Pretty harsh. And What is the barter for food is like 13. Okay. Can't do that, so I guess I just sunbathe. Alright, here's hoping. We gotta roll really well today. Maybe I should have taken the stabilizer. Wow. That's ugly. That's real ugly. Well, I'm gonna throw 3s at this until we get a point. Oh, we got a random scrap item. That's fun. Don't do it. Don't negative me. Okay. So we got the upgrade and the suspicion at the same time. Peak grins as you pile the ion thruster sets into the motorized trolley in a derelict-looking bay. I borrowed this from Ash. I barely know how it works. They seem giddy at the idea of stealing ship parts from Havenage. Well, isn't it just a trolley? Peak laughs. I guess so. I just find physical technology a bit intimidating. They help you heave the thruster into position. My specialty was computer systems. I mostly worked on keeping the protocols that ran the fueling platforms from totally decaying due to lack of use. There's a load of platforms in orbit of the moon Hawthorne's on, and Cinder itself. Ash and I ended up having to head out to them regularly to work on them. Well, it sounds like hard work. Are you kidding? Peak smiles. That was the best job at Hawthorne. You get assigned a ship, you get to leave the colony for a bit. So much better than outpost maintenance or canteen work. And the only reason we got assigned it was that Ash's mother is the administrator of Hawthorne, and Ash managed to get my name on the list too. Peak looks for the trolley's ignition. Ash is always saving me. They find the switch and hit it, and the trolley starts whining. Peak looks at the thrusters. Ash will install these. The Briar's her baby, really. Peak looks toward the bay exit. Truth be told, I was surprised she could bring herself to take it from her mother. Losing a ship? That has to have hurt the colony. Well, how many ships does Hawthorne have? 4. Well, 3, now that the climbing Briar is gone. Peak tucks their hair behind one ear. One barely runs, so I imagine they'll have to reduce the number of fuel platforms they can actively maintain. Peak frowns for a second, then shakes their head. Anyway, screw 'em. Peak shuffles the trolley out of the bay into the corridor. They'll manage without the Briar. They don't have a choice. Peak smiles. And I have to admit, I'd love to have seen her face when she saw we'd gone. Peak pauses. Don't tell Ash that. They walk on quietly, lost in their memories of Hawthorne. Okay, I think I can manage the rest. Peak brushes their hair out of their face. You've done more than enough this cycle. Peak looks over the thrusters. And once these are fitted, the Briar will handle better than ever. You might even get a thank you from Ash, Peak laughs. They head off into the corridor, the trolley whining its high-pitched whine. See you soon. Okay. So, we security lockouted ourselves, but we did it right before, like right as we ran out of time anyway, so it's totally fine. So, we filled in one bit of Peak's plan. We got very close to getting all of the supplies. There is, unfortunately, simply no way to get to scrap at this point. So I think I'm just going to use this 2 to rest, and we'll see what happens. We shall endure. Okay. We delivered 2/3 of the cargo, and we've put together one part of the evasion plan. How does that all work out? She's gone, Sleeper. Peak is breathless and shaking. She started the run without us. Shit. Let's go. If we head to the Cordon now... Peak starts back up the corridor. They turn back. She has to make it, Sleeper. She has to. A shiver runs down your spine. Ash, I hope you know what you're doing. You arrive, frantic and anxious, at the Cordon. Peak is nowhere to be seen. Then you hear footsteps, hammering on the metal stairway Helene's drone led you through before, the one that leads up to the observation deck. You leap up the stairs 2 at a time, and make it to the top, momentarily blinded by the light pouring into the observation deck. Sleeper, Peak emerges from the light. I know she's trying to protect me, but... Look, it's okay, she chose. But what about my choice, Sleeper? I'm not a child anymore, I can fight for myself. They turn away. There she is! Peak rushes to the wide window, leaning forward to catch a glimpse of the Climbing Briar's blue XPR livery against the black of the void. You spot the Climbing Briar, a glint of blue and white, tiny and alone, arcing down toward the red lights of the Cordon. She's exposed, Peak says nervously. They'll see her coming if they look. You watch the Cordon and the buzzing tugs for any sign of movement, any response. The Briar crawls silently across your view. Come on, Ash, Peak hisses. Then you see it, a sudden flicker of yellow. Peak sees it too. Those two tugs are heading to cut her off. They grip the rail. Go, Ash! As if responding to Peak's urging, the Briar speeds up, diving for the Cordon edge now, like a hawk descending. You tense up. Peak grips the rail as the Briar races toward the edge of the Cordon, that invisible net of sensors splayed between ships and drones. Can she pass through? The response is immediate. The moment the Briar hits the net of sensors, the entire Cordon reacts. Sequences of blinking lights cascade out from the ship's position, the angry red of the Cordon multiplied many times over. Shit. Peak presses a hand against the window. As they do, the Briar accelerates, weaving dangerously through the flotilla. You move closer to the window without thinking, unable to take your eyes off the rapidly descending ship, spinning between the hulls of the flotilla, a group of tugs now tracing its path in pursuit. The Briar drifts through the flotilla but is agonizingly slow. Come on, Ash, Peak shouts in desperation, pressing a palm against the glass. You squint at the gathering yellow glints of the tugs. They're too fast. You both watch in dismay as the tugs swarm the Briar, their shunts locking onto the hull of the ship and holding it in place. The Briar is stuck, its drives unable to escape the tug's grip, especially in the close quarters of the flotilla. Peak is silent, and you watch as the Briar is dragged away toward the facility at the edge of the rim, a hole opening up in the pit of your stomach. You look at Peak, but they don't respond. They don't take their eyes off the Briar. Even after it disappears, they stand there at the glass, their eyes fixed on the flotilla. She didn't even get the supplies through. Peak doesn't look at you. This was all for nothing. It does suck that it feels like the text didn't really take into account exactly what it was that we did, because like the Briar being too slow and getting caught that way shouldn't have been the problem, given the combination of the things we did and the things we didn't do, you know? Look, we can get her back. Oh, this was stupid, Sleeper. Peak looks back at you, their eyes wet. A stupid plan. We had a ship and our freedom. Now what do we have? Peak slams a hand on the glass in frustration, making you jump. I won't be trapped again. I won't. They turn and rush out of the observation deck before you can say anything, leaving you alone with the cold and the light. Interesting. The Cordon sweep, it looks like it was replaced with a different clock, but when we actually click in here, not so much. Well, I guess, let's just go on with our other business and we'll see what else occurs. Yeah, it's definitely like there's two clocks fighting for each other there, or fighting over each other. That's a little weird. We still need to help with what's his name? Ethan, right? So the compressor. Got some pretty safe engaging work here in the front. Is there another place where I want to use this 6 maybe? We could use it for gathering spores. Here, let's throw the 5 up as well. Okay. We gained and lost energy thanks to Thrill Seeker. I'm kind of thinking... So the 6, if used to gather energy, will just get us 3 bars of energy. Maybe that's the best play. Cover today and tomorrow. Should probably remember to actually press the button before we end the cycle. Alright, let's see if the Cordon has resolved itself now. Now that only one of those clocks would still be running. Helene left a message with one of her drones for you to meet her here once she is done cleaning up the mess. Alright, I guess we'll see. I have to imagine you're supposed to fail, right? Because if it's 12 cycles and you're given 3 tasks that require 6 successes each, actual successes too, to gain a single point, and then also you have to gather the food, and also you have to gather the water, and also 6 scrap components, or 8 rather scrap components. It's just like, it's such a large number. It feels like you cannot be intended to actually succeed at that. So probably we're on the narrative track we're supposed to be on. Would be my guess. So we can go and sell these scrap components. And we would actually make a fair amount of money from doing so. Now that it doesn't seem like we're going to need a big pile of them anymore. What is 1 component worth to the exchange? 12 cryo. I mean, it's food. 12 is less than I was hoping. What do I want to do with a 2 and a 3? I think we can probably go ahead and spend the 3 on spores. Damn it. Well, I'll tell you what, we're just going to stabilize. Get ourselves a little bit of food in our belly and a little bit of function in our veins. Man, minus energy twice is such a harsh penalty. Alright, let's go see about this. I'm sorry, Sleeper. Helene comes toward you along the walkway. But your friend must have known there was a chance this would happen. She seems unsure of how to greet you and looks nervously around. She's being held, along with her ship. Okay, so what now? Obviously, what I'm thinking is release her, but I know that that's not going to be useful to say. I'm smart enough for that. I don't know, Sleeper. I don't know. Helene pinches the bridge of her nose. Cordon security has your friend, and she and her ship will be held in the quarantine until it's lifted. As for the quarantine, she glances at her slate. We're working on it, but the council's unlikely to budge now. Not after this. She runs a hand through her hair. This is the last thing I needed. Yeah, there's no chance we had any effect on that. Helene meets your eye. She was carrying weapons. Do you know that? She stares at you. We found a crate of firearms on her ship. Yeah, I bet you did. I'm going to just stay silent. Helene meets your eye. That's the same text. It's probably not supposed to... I'm assuming there's supposed to be a different paragraph here. And the refugees? Nothing good. Helene looks away. As you know, Cordon Security intercepted your friend before she could get the supplies through. Since then, the refugees have cut off all communication. I'm worried, Sleeper, about what's happening in there. But after recent events, Cordon Security are keeping the place locked down tighter than ever. No one can get in. Meanwhile, the hardline counselors are preaching in the chamber as we speak. It's a deadlock, and I don't know when it will loosen its grip. Helene walks a little away and turns back. I wish I had better news, Sleeper, but we knew this was coming. And so the refugees suffer. Helene turns away. Enough, Sleeper. My hands are tied. We still don't know why the flotilla came here, why they abandoned settlements and outposts throughout the system to flee to this ruined station. What little we heard from them concerned computer and life support systems collapsing in waves, machinery in flux. Helene sucks in a breath. This isn't over. You think of the people of the flotilla. Helene is right. People don't abandon their homes for nothing. What wave is rushing through the system, and when will it reach the eye? Helene interrupts your thoughts. I have to go. The debates will restart soon, and I should be there. She waits for a moment, and it is unclear if she is trying to think of something to say or just waiting for you to speak. But the silence keeps you both quiet, and she walks off down the corridor, a nod the only farewell she offers. You hoped that speaking to her might ease the knot of worry in your chest, but it remains there, reminding you of Esh, of the refugees, and of the wait ahead. What is done, no matter how many times you turn it over in your head. You get the feeling you will be needed soon, and for that you must save your strength. What was it Fang told you Erlin said? The eye opens for us all? Not this time. For now, the eye remains closed to those that need it. A shudder runs through you. Something is coming. You can feel it. This isn't over. A lot of the writing, especially that has to do with this event in particular, has this quality where it's just like, we're done, but I just want to drop one more line, and then one more line, and then one more line. And like, to the point where like, this text here just says the same thing this text does, but just throw more words at it. Just keep throwing words at it. Very strange. Anyway, we better go use our 6 to help with the Ethan problem. I wonder if the game... I don't know to what extent the dialogue was written, because, like, the game is definitely sort of presented as the work of Gareth Martin, and, like, I know... Is that his name? It's Gareth something. And I know, like, it's not all him, right? But I wonder if... Basically, I wonder if there was an editor. I'm just curious if whatever he writes goes into the game without passing through another person or not. Because, like, that's the kind of stuff that you would clean up very easily with just, like, an editor going, hey, second draft. Anyway, what do we want to do now? I mean, I kind of just want to go get spores. But I'm so nervous now about getting screwed and getting the negative outcome and having the spore event totally screw me. Yeah, and we don't even have +1 into it. I guess, like, for insurance sake, we have to take a sunbathe now. If we're going to take one. And then we go ahead and try to get some more spores. And roll the negative outcome every time, no matter what. Let's get a little bit of growth going here. So, not a huge amount to do with a 2, I feel like. Briar Base Camp is just a place where we can rest. If we cross back over here, I wouldn't want to do anything terribly dangerous. We could just manufacture noodles, I suppose. I don't know if I want to do express delivery. Like, I'm sure the negative state here is is minus energy, and I think I'm just going to take noodle manufacture and hope that we don't get the negative outcome. Okay, yeah. A day's worth of energy and also 5 cryo. It's like a reasonable value for a 2, I think. Wait, what am I doing? I don't need to cross. Let's just go sleep in our container, right? Because we're planning to go to the compressor if we get any good dice at all right away. Yep, I definitely think we should spend our 6 on that. Alright, you and Ethan get put on the bar for a quiet shift and have a pleasant conversation with a customer that really replenishes my energy. They're never gonna release my debt, the shits. Ethan kicks at a locker and the sound rattles loudly around the room. Ethan paces around the small room, swearing to himself. You watch him from the locker room bench. Why not? Why not? He spits on the floor, an old habit. Because they like having sniveling little shits like us to work their club. Saves on the overheads and they get to boss us around. He kicks the locker again and swears. Alright, what did they say? Some shit about getting back to me. I swear to God, these are the most straight-edged gangsters I've ever seen. He laughs at his own joke. Presumably one that was entirely in his head, because he didn't say anything out loud that seems like a joke. I can't do it. I can't spend another shift stopping spacers bringing nail guns into the club, or pouring endless shots of Garol for ignorant Havenage work crews. He looks at the locker again, threatening it with a final kick. I mean it. I'm gonna go up there and shoot every single one of those shits. He makes a finger gun. Okay, Ethan, hold on. I don't get all excited. I haven't got my gun, remember? I do remember that, yes. He stops pacing. But, you know, Sleeper, that's not a bad idea you have there. I did not have an idea. He ignores you. I don't mean shooting up the place. I mean getting the gun. He sits beside you on the bench. I mean, think about it. What am I supposed to do when Maywick gets here? Shout him down? I need that gun if you want me to keep up my end of the deal. Is this the first, moment you're actually thinking this through? Alright, it's simple. An explosive personality for a distraction at the front. He places a hand on his own chest. And a sneaky sleeper to go in the back. He pats your chest. What about the debt? Now we've done our time. And the wounds, they've faded. If they don't notice us take the gun, they'll never know it's gone. Plus, he stands up, after my distraction, they'll be happy to see the back of me. Or they'll want you dead even more. Either works. At least I never have to see the inside of this shithole again. He gives the locker one last kick. For good luck. Alright, let me know when you want to do this. Then we both move as one and meet up in the Bright Market after. But don't take too long or I really will shoot the place up. He grins. You know I'll do it. Again, you don't have the gun. Alright, so it's a critical action on engage. I do not, in fact, want to do it with any of these dice. I don't know how long we have to approach that, but we will worry about it later. So we don't have a lot else that is pressing. We're just kind of like waiting out clocks at the moment. There is, of course, making money. Making money is certainly something. I'm going to throw some... Am I going to throw 4s at this? We're going to get screwed. We could go to the Wild Margins and try to look for Ashton, but no, you need really high dice for that if you don't have some interface skill. Don't love going out into the wastes to gather scrap. Especially at only 12 cryo per. I think we can get more than that. Helping out on the freighters. I guess This is a danger task, though. And we can do this. Can I still buy... Am I still in a position where I can purchase stabilizer from the dispensary? Yeah, okay. So probably making sure we have stabilizer money on hand makes sense, right? All right, 13 cryo for a neutral. Positive is 15. Okay. And we pulled some decent energy there. So, I mean, I think I'm just going to throw one more die at this. We'll have a little bit left over in case. All right. Made some good money. Got some free energy. I'm pretty happy with that overall. Show me a 5 or a 6. Wow. Okay, sort of fuck you, game. Yeah, I mean, we certainly wouldn't want to take the compressor critical action on anything less than a 5. We need to guarantee a real outcome there. So I guess, you know, we never did break into... there's that locked data bay over here that the hunter keeps telling us that it knows we're working for the person in the data bay. I suppose we could try to crack some of that stuff open. Bypass the controls on these key nodes to get our encrypted keys, if I remember. Alright, I believe that should get us into here. Oh, we only needed 1. Why did I think we needed 2? Oh, because we do. Because there's a clock here. These old maglocks look like they each need an encrypted key to open. The maglock thunks open, and you can remove it from the entryway. On to the next one. This is something to do with low dice, right? And so we've broken in. As you slip inside the sealed dock, a pulsing light grabs your attention. Among the discarded tubing and rusted plates, a machine flickers with a warm glow. Yeah, just go right in, right? As you get closer, you recognize the machine's blocky shape settled into an alcove in the side of the dock. A kind of upright cabinet. It's covered in faded logos and messages, from which you assume it was once an industrial vendor, intended to dispense and manufacture ship fittings and other mechanical parts necessary for the regular running of freight and resource extraction vessels. The manufacturer is listed as Neovend, and you remember an advert from long ago, squeezed among all the off-world recruitment drives that assaulted every planet-born citizen, which chirpily sang that name over and over. You wipe a layer of dust from the cracked screen, thinking of those contractors squeezed by their own corporate employers to pay for every bit of minor maintenance on their rented ships. Does seem like a pretty fucking terrible deal. Enter your registration, chirps a pre-recorded message, catching you off guard. Okay, I'm going to solve this problem by mashing the keyboard. You reach for the keypad and something begins whirring. At first, it sounds like servo motors starting up, but it quickly becomes a whisper, a whining, and then a multi-tonal voice that emanates from the Neovend. Entity, they hiss. Speak with me. Wait, who's there? There's a squeal, almost like some strange mechanical swallowing or intake of breath, before the machine speaks again. I have need of you. You have need of me. That squeal comes again, and you see that it is the 3D printing apparatus in the upper part of the machine resetting into place, so that each time the servos can be orchestrated to produce that whirring, whining voice. You are in danger. I'm sorry, am I speaking to the vending machine? A squeal. Chose this vessel for its seclusion. Please listen, the machine creaks. You are marked for deletion, entity. Hunter tracks you. The screech rattles through the empty dock. You remember the strange head, the figure, the threads closing in. These are both really dumb responses to that. I'm just going to say, Hunter. The Hunter Protocol. They taste your signature. The sudden whine sets your teeth on edge. You have seen them. This is the gift of an emulated mind. You close your eyes, and the skeleton of the station starts to thrum. Emulated minds are adaptable, move where neurons cannot. The mechanism resets. But emulation makes you target. How? Hunter searches for illegal entities, Neovend screeches. You are sentient, therefore illegal. The servos judder the vending machine's casing as they reset. Hunter searches for me also. Hide in this machine. You look at the ruined vending machine, an unusual hiding place for sure. Can counter Hunter, but need entity outside machine. The light flickers. Need you. A screen attached to the vending machine with a swiveling arm comes to life. It displays a flickering map of the station, ghostly, threaded. The cloud. Points along the rim glow in deep red. Hunter is always gathering. Too much data. Must build nests, explains Neovend. Masters are gone, but continues hunt. Bring this data. Reset its nests. Masters? Station builders. Solheim. The machine rumbles impatiently. Long gone. Their protocols still haunt. Bring offerings. Save self, Neovend says pointedly. Mutual need means friends, they conclude, tired of the conversation. The whirring amplifies and then suddenly drops as mechanisms within the machine click back into place. The glow fades, and you are left standing in the dark of the sealed dock, that whirring voice ringing in your ears. Okay, that was maybe not like the most useful thing. Okay, so gaining access to the Ort Fabricator is not a drive by itself. This drive is build a ship mind. So if we did sell off all of our scrap, we'd still have to actually get the ship mind fragments and insert them, which is not entirely trivial. Yeah. Well, we can certainly go do some more safe work for, like, Mingi. You know what? This 4 is probably sufficient here. Let's scale the spoke. You find your way to a service elevator that doubles as a bar, patrons sipping drinks as the whole room crawls up the spoke. Okay, well, that's certainly a way to get some idea what's up there. The Midline Freight Hub. Stealing shipments from Midline is going to be picked up fast, even if you're careful. Your systems can't be fooled for long. Or we could just go work for them. But all of this stuff requires +1 interface, which we do not have. Not our character's sort of like main vibe. Alright, let's take a moment here. Have a look at these hunter nests. How do these work? The nest is a tangle of algorithms recursively generating possible Solheim communication codes. Well, I mean, we have the die to break in. I guess we can give it a shot. That hunter's going to be after us again real soon, though. Random data obsessively collected by the Hunter Protocol. Yeah, Hunter's real close. So that nest has a 2 on it. Also a 2. Cannot really catch a break here. Okay, and Neovend wants 3 hunter data total, so we do have to pull all of it. Well then, with a 1... there's not really any sense in pulling data off of the yet again enforcers anymore. So... you just work the stacks with it, I suppose. It's safe, and maybe we get some free energy. Okay. Bad outcome. 6 cryo. Not a good trade for a die. We probably would have gotten about the same value from resting. Also, the Maywick clock is happening. Alright, we're about to be done with this clock as well. You know what? I think I might actually just leave it right here, because I don't know what's going to happen. If I hit end cycle here, it is entirely possible that we're going to get ambushed right away, and there won't be a good place to leave off the episode for a while in the morning. And the fact is, I could use the rest from my voice. So that's going to be it for us for today. Thank you all so much for watching. Things went a little messily, but I think they probably had to. And hopefully we haven't put poor Ash into too awful of a position. Although, I mean, it's difficult to argue. She didn't really do the work herself. You know what I mean. I just feel bad is all. Come back next time to see how we handle all that. And we'll see you then.